Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket sixes. We are five-handed in a 10NL game. Under the gun, open raises. He's playing 31-7. I haven't keyed his orange, so kind of a aggressive type player. Doesn't really 3-bet much. So I've got some. I do have a note. It's raise first in to 3 big bets with ace queen, and then called a 10 big blind 3-bet from the cutoff. He checks flop and turn on a king queen 7-2 board. So check called flop and turn with second pair. Then must have checked it down and was able to see his hand. But I think overall he's got a fairly wide range, something look like this. If we look at his pre-flop stats, yeah, he's under the gun. Raise first in stats 26, but really he's probably in mid position since we're only five-handed, so he's raising about 33%. So I went with a larger rate with the larger range. I actually put this at 35%. We can narrow it down a little bit. Maybe he doesn't have all of these suited kings, which is probably realistic. Get rid of like the king 8, queen 8. Still keep like the jack 8, maybe the 10-7. Maybe we'll add those instead. I think this is going to be a suitable wide range for this player. Versus mid position player, I have a 3-better call range sitting that looks like this. I do think since this guy's range is so large, and since we have some looser players behind us, we could go ahead and 3-bet this, and I think that's probably what we should have done here instead of just call. I think we need to be aggressive, and that could be the play. However, kind of as a change of place, I don't know. I could tell here at this table I haven't been 3-betting at all, 0 out of 17. So if I was 3-betting a lot, then this could be a call. See what we flop, see if we can, take a stack down. We are fairly deep. I'm short at 51, and I wonder if this is a short table. No, it's not. We're just down at this game. We've got 50. We start the hand with 54 big blinds. So we could raise or call. I think I probably prefer raising right now, 3-betting. But at the same time, we're not super deep. If we 3-bet and someone comes over the top, it's going to be a tough fold with pocket sixes since we're not extremely deep, just over 50 big blinds. I called, and then we had the small blind that also called. Small blind's playing 32-9. I think the small blind's going to be a very speculative type hands. He does 3-bet. He's 3-bet 5% of the time. His 3-bets come from the cutoff and the big blind. Let's see if we have some notes. He called 5 big blinds, button ISO raise with jacks. He's out of position. So check called, half pot bet, then check on an ace-6-4, ace-4 pot with jacks. Okay. So we have that. We have raise 3.5 on button versus limper with ace king. We have a bunch of call 2-bet from blinds range. Ace 8 suited, king 10 suited, 10 8 suited, 10 5 suited. Ooh. King 2 offsuit, jack 9 offsuit. This guy's range is going to be pretty big. So I had those. I had the suited kings or the suited queens. And I'm wondering if I need to add the rest of these. I guess he could have been calling those hands from the big blind, and the small blind's going to be a little bit tighter. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to play all of those offsuit aces. I think we're just going to play this range for him. So the three of us take the flop of ace 5-4. I have to assume someone has an ace. But we have backdoor straight draw potential. So both villains check. I think this is probably a good spot to check. See if we can pick up some equity with our sixes. if it's a 3, if it's a 7, we've got a hand that we can continue with, and actually a hand that we could be aggressive with. With villain 3 checking, this is the guy most likely to bet here. I think he would have bet his straights, his sets. He doesn't have straights, but his sets, his 2 pair, his top pair, probably his ace king, ace queen hands, probably ace jack. We'll assume he checks all of these. Kind of feel like he would have also bet ace 2, ace 3. What's his c-bet stat? Out of position, c-bet stats 24%, in position 75%. Versus 3 players, I think it's going to be somewhat straightforward. So I think he's betting, he would be betting those top pairs. So he's got like ace 6 to ace 10. He's going to have pocket pair. He's going to have all of those. I think at flush draw would probably bet here. And probably the open ender. So I think we're going to go with like that. And then on my side of things, we could have a set of 5s. Now, if I had a set of 5s, I'd be betting. I'd be betting to try to build up the pot. I'm hoping that this guy's, since he checked, I'm hoping that this guy has the ace and is going to be coming along and hopefully double me up. So I think I'd be betting the set. Top pair, I'd probably just check calling. I should say checking behind, trying to keep the pot fairly small because he could have the ace. We're going to know on the turn how we fare. But I think flush draw, we're probably checking behind as well. I mean, our sets, we're betting 5%. Probably flush draw as well, we're betting. So let's X that out. Yeah, versus 3 players, I don't think we're going to be super aggressive here. But I know we're betting the flush draw because if another spade comes, it's going to freeze the action. So let's get a bet in there right now while the ace X can call. All right, so my range is narrow too. Villain's range has stayed pretty wide. Turns the ace of hearts. It's less likely that someone has an ace now. Villain 1 checks. I still think he's going to be checking 100%. I don't think he's going to be aggressive and pushing like this. Now, villain bets here. So I think now he could have this 3 of a kind. And he could be betting with a pocket pair less than the top card at this point. Maybe he's taking a stab with a middle pair and a weak pair. And then maybe that's about it. So maybe he has something like that. It's on us. I'm not sure if I like the call. I kind of feel like we should be aggressive. But the question is, if we raise here, could we realistically represent the ace? I kind of feel like if I was in the villain's shoes and someone did this, I'd be thinking, you know, I don't think you have that ace. Why didn't you bet the flop? It was checked around to you. Why didn't you go ahead and bet it again? And that's kind of like where that ace jack comes into play. You know, we could have it. We'll have it a small percentage of the time. We're gonna make that play, and then maybe we're gonna turn some of these other no-made hands into bluffs as well. So we make a 3 of a kind. That's 4.5, and then we need 1 more, which could be like a. Let's see here. We're gonna be like even, something like that. King, queen, jack. But even then, I really would prefer to have some sort of combo draw here. and we just don't have it. So because we don't have it, I kind of feel like we're going to be just calling here, calling with three of a kind, calling with our flush draw, probably calling with our underpair here. If we get a heart or possibly a spade and it checks us, we could bet. I think we could bet. We take our aggressive stance at that point and make villain really have to decide, do I call with my ace or do I just fold it? Actually, do I call with all of my underpairs, which I'm thinking maybe he has the underpair. He did bet 66% of the pot, so somewhat larger. Which again, I'm not sure if he's going to do that with these weak pair or middle pair hands. We'll still leave him in there, but I don't think so. I called. I'm not sure if I like the call. I probably should just fold here. Probably should just fold here. Call with three of a kind, call with the flush draw, fold everything else. Or actually raise with three of a kind, raise with our flush draw. We raise to 18 to 20, maybe 25. If we raise to 18, let's go back. We've got 51. We raise to 18. That leaves us 30 something behind. If he calls, we're at like under a half pot bet at that point. So maybe we raise like 15. We're at 35 then. 35. He calls 30, 40. Yeah, that if we raise 15, we leave ourselves like a pot size bet. Or under a pot size bet. Maybe 15 is a little bit better. Might accomplish the same thing. It's raising it to like 20. So villain one folds. He's out. He doesn't have the ace. River's king of hearts. See, if we raise, we could rep that heart at that point, and we can shove. And I think it's probably realistic that he would believe us that we would have the heart. Now the thing is if we raised on the turn, what hands does he call? I think he gets rid of all of his middle pair and weak pair, and probably gets rid of some of these pocket pair less than the top cards. Probably like the 6, 7, 8s, 9s, 10s. Maybe he continues with jacks, queens, and kings, but then he's going to have a hard time continuing with those. He would call with flush draw, which is what we're targeting. So he's at 55% right now. If we get him to fold all of those, he's at 24%. So if we raise, he's folding 50% of the time. I think that could have been a valid play. Probably the preferred play in this case. But anyways, King of Hearts comes out. Villain checks. And at this point, I think he's not checking the full house. He's not checking the flush. I do think he's checking the straight, or three of a kind, the weak pair. And the question is, if we bet, are we getting all of these folds? So that's 80%, 84% at this point of the hands that he's going to check with. If we bet, does he fold 50% of the time? And I think we could fire a bet here, kind of represent that we picked up the flush. I think a raising the turn accomplishes that a little bit better, but I check behind. It seems like we're making quite a few mistakes now. So we've said this is his range. What do we would bet the flush. We would bet three of a kind. I don't think I'd bet middle pair. Could bet the nothing hands and then leave middle pair, weak pair. And I just feel like we're gonna have to turn these into a bluff if we want to win with them. And I think they work better as a raise on the turn. Yeah, so I think if we just check behind here, we're looking at middle pair, weak pair, or nothing. So king, queen, or like one of these mid pocket pairs. I check behind. He shows ace nine. He does have the ace nine, and that kind of goes with what we were saying. He's got that three of a kind. He's not. I don't think he's folding this. I don't think he's folding trips, but that's in his range. He had the suited diamonds, so we're gonna take a range. Good for us for picking out this hand, for reading it. Not immediately assuming that he would have c-bet all of his ace-x hands in a three-way pot. We could tell that he doesn't c-bet all the time. So raise first in mid position, raise first in, three big blinds in mid position, five-handed with ace nine diamonds. He is not really in position. He is out of position. So middleman, he checks, bet 66%, check on ace of spades, five of hearts, four spades, ace of hearts, king of hearts. So we could have lost our stack. The turn, we raise the turn, he's calling. He's probably actually shoving. So on the turn, we're talking about our raise size. We raise three of a kind. We raise these middle cards. And then we have like no made hands here. And he shoves on us on the turn. We're going to be folding. He shows on the turn. We're probably getting... we're not going to be getting the odds. We're going to have to fold quite a bit. Ace jack's going to be tough for us to call, but I think we call with value. I don't think we're getting the odds to call with the flush draw at that point, because we can only hit the flush draw. We don't really have any other combos at that point. So I think our option here was to raise. I think we lost them. We lost more than our minimum. I think if we raise pre-flop, he might fold that. Fold 3-bet 50%. We 3-bet to him, he might actually fold that since he's out of position. So we could have picked up the pot at that point. On the turn, I think we could have just folded. I think it's consistent with ace. It's consistent with a higher pocket pair. We've got no way to win unless we can get him to fold out. And in order to get him to fold out, we're going to have to really risk our stack. So I'm going to say that this is misplayed on my part. Should be doing better. Should be more aware in this hand. But it's things we have to work with and realize that, yeah, ace 9 was in his range. Ace 8, ace 7. All those hands are going to play the same way. So good for me for making that read. All right. Hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you did, look tomorrow for another.